Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Glad to be here with everybody today into this beautiful sacred space here on Insight Timer that we are co-creating here together today. We will give a few minutes to allow people to join in and settle in together. So if you are feeling like you want to connect, feel free to say hello in the chat or even give an emoji, just to get your voice in the room, your presence in the space. And if not, that's fine too. I'm in a very contemplative, deep space right now myself. So we will just be following that flow today, although there is a topic. I'm showing up open and present and just seeing what unfolds. I think while we settle into this space, I was just listening to a beautiful song that was very grounding. And I think I want to continue playing it, and we'll just be together here for a few minutes. And just allow this to move in through and around us. So let's just take in this beautiful music for a few minutes together. Hello, Nancy. So just allow this beautiful song to minister to your soul right now. Welcome, J.E., Coraline. Thank you. It's the light and the inner light. And as this music's playing, I'm just channeling Reiki to myself, allowing it to be also opened into this space to be received. If you feel called to open yourself to receive Reiki in these few minutes. Just allow that in. And breathe deeply. Good morning, Sister Sunshine. It's been a very intense week. If it's been challenging or intense for you, give a comment in the chat of how your week has been. We had the Scorpio full moon. How many of you felt that? We're still in the after effects of that full moon. Yes, in this year as well, for many of us. Just allow your nervous system to downshift right now as you receive this Reiki healing, the sound healing of the music, of my voice as well. Let's just take a few conscious breaths together. Exhale through the mouth. And just let go of whatever needs to be released right now. You don't even have to know what it is. So here we are together, as we have been now for 5 years. We celebrated that milestone for me as a teacher last week. April was our wonderful winner for the giveaway of a gifted session with me of Reiki and ancestral clearing, or a tarot oracle card reading. So that was wonderful. And here we are. So the topic that I have planned today is talking about relationship dynamics in really dysfunctional and toxic relationship dynamics where there is an imbalance of, I want to say power, but safety and attachment. Thank you, Sister Sunshine. Wow, how cool. Many of us joined 5 years ago. And given where I'm feeling like I'm at today, and the week that I've had, and the process that's unfolding within me. I'm feeling to take our space today in a possibly different direction, so I invite you all just to flow with me. And I want to share a little bit about it, as of course it's my spiritual journey, my life journey, and my personal journey. And I want to open with a quote from Michael Singer. If anybody doesn't know Michael Singer, let me know. But this is the card we pulled last week, and the way I do this when I do my card readings in the live streams is I keep the cards face up on my work space here, and I just tune into them, you know, as a reminder when I'm sitting here working either with clients or on my other work or whatever. But the quote is, "Your heart is an instrument made of extremely subtle energy that few people come to appreciate. But in truth, you're not your heart, you're the experiencer of your heart." Your heart is an instrument made of extremely subtle energy that few people come to appreciate. But in truth, you're not your heart, you're the experiencer of your heart. Does that land with everybody? Does that make sense? Do you resonate with that? You know, depending on where you are on your journey, you might feel like you are your heart, or you might feel like you are your body, and that's okay. And the further you get along in your awakening process, you will learn that, I mean, if you follow the beliefs that I have, that many people have in this realm, is that we are the experiencer. We are the consciousness and awareness that animates this form. But we are not this form. And that when this body takes its last breath, it is not the end of the essence of us, that we are infinite and we go on. And so given that, you know, it says, you are not your heart, you're the experiencer of it. And this idea can change your life and bring you peace and freedom from suffering, because suffering occurs when we get totally identified with our experience, either our experience in our body or our experience of our mind, which is our thoughts. And that is where all suffering arises from, is the identification and the belief in whatever our mind is thinking, or getting fully immersed in whatever our heart is feeling. So if you know Michael Singer's work, he talks about, you know, he's very Hindu based and Buddhist in his philosophies, and he talks about this idea of samskaras, and samskaras being the, I don't know how to explain what he calls them, but they're impressions. They're energetic impressions that if there's resistance to the outside environment or the inside environment, or things that are happening in either of these places, a samskara forms and it gets locked in the body or stored in the body. And so the older we get, the more of these occur. It's just natural being a human. But these are the things that block us from our true nature, which is infinite bliss. So the journey of awakening is, you know, being able to know we are not our thoughts, we are not our experience, we are the one witnessing all of this. To cultivate that seat of consciousness, or that seat of self, so that we don't get off center every time something happens, that we're able to rest in that witness consciousness and awareness, which is always and only at peace. But it's this journey of becoming identified with that rather than whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm feeling, whatever's happening in the body or happening in the exterior. So these samskaras get stored inside, and then things hit them. And when a samskara gets hit, we could call it a trigger. And that is our choice point of which way are we going to go. Are we going to contract? Are we going to put more suffering and resistance and pain on top of what's here? Or are we going to open to our experience of the present moment and allow, instead of pushing that down again, allow it to come up? And with the light of our awareness, our consciousness and our presence in the moment, can we be with and allow whatever is coming up to be healed to come up to be healed, and be with that and hold space for that. So, I'm speaking theoretically and experientially, and, having real life examples is, a helpful way to ground it into experience, because I can tell you, how to ride a bike. I can talk to you about it. You put your hands on the handlebars, and then you put, you straddle the bike and put one leg on either side, and then you put one foot in a pedal and you push up with your body, and then you're in the air, and then you must push down on the pedal with the other foot, and then you're propelling yourself forward. I can tell you all of that, but until you actually have an experience of it, you're missing the whole, multi-dimensional layer of it. You're missing the experience. So I've been in a very deep process of letting go and surrendering, transforming on a very deep level the way I identify and relate in the world, which is requiring me to give up a lot of who I've believed myself to be, and give up attachments, and give up ego validation, give up distractions and coping mechanisms and old ways of being and doing in the world. And it has been very difficult and painful, and the universe is always trying to help us, and all of our experiences are here to bring us to awakening and to growth and to love and to expansion and evolution, to be our best versions of ourselves, and that never ends. And so everything in our lives is conspiring to help us, everything, even if it doesn't look like it. So this full moon, coming back to that, and just the culmination of, as I said, my own journey right now, has been a very intense time for me. I can't remember a full moon being this intense. And for me, it's a process of coming home to myself instead of looking to the outside for validation, instead of looking to the outside for appreciation, validation, ego boosting. And it's not that it's, quote, bad or wrong, it's just not working for me anymore. And so it's letting go of these attachments and letting go of, this part of myself or version of myself. And, in AA, where I got clean and sober, we talk about addiction, and we talk about having a God-shaped hole inside. So like in our interior, there is this hole that is God-shaped, whatever that means for you. And there is nothing that can actually fill that space except for that higher power. And for somebody with addiction, what we do is we try to fill that space with everything but the one thing that would actually do that, which is that connection to source. And so there's this in-between space when that hole is not being filled with the addiction anymore, or the distraction, or the coping, or the, all of the things that we do. And yet, we're reorienting to connect with source, higher power, God. And that being the only true thing that can fill that hole inside. Now, if we bring it back to the topic that I had planned for this live stream, it fits in perfectly. So if you came here thinking about a certain relationship or connection that feels like addictive, compulsive, obsessive, where you feel totally powerless, and you've given this person all your power. And usually this is going to be romance, but it doesn't have to be, as I always say. But we put people into that God-shaped hole, and we want and expect them to fulfill all of these needs that nothing can fill except for us and our relationship with Source. And so it can be very painful to remove whatever we're trying to fill that hole with. Basically, we make all of these things our higher power. We give our power away to people, to our thoughts, to our beliefs, to whatever form of addiction, distraction, obsession, compulsion that you have, and we all have them in varying degrees. So to tie it back to my personal journey, I have really pulled back on doing all of these things, and now I'm left with what was I trying to avoid by the distractions? And it comes back to this pain inside, this suffering inside, these samskaras. And I have tried to medicate or fill that space with people. And so as I let all of that go and come home to myself, it is a very painful journey. And it's the journey of a lifetime. So I want to show y'all something I have right here. This is a candle with my name on it, Natalie. And it's lit. So this is my reminder that I am healing myself and for myself, and I'm choosing myself. So I'm wondering for you all, what does this bring up for you? How can you relate everything I'm saying back to your own self and your own journey and where you're at right now? Can you relate? I mean, we've also had this Uranus in Gemini that's just happened. This Scorpio full moon is one of the most powerful of the year, and we're in like the aftermath of that, so we're in an integration right now. So everything's going to feel tender. Uranus brings in, it shakes things up. It rocks the foundations. It rocks us to our core and changes things, like a tower moment. So I want you all to breathe into this with me. Welcome, Sophia. And I'll be honest with you all, I feel very disoriented. And that's what transformation does. You know, when we're on this journey, right? We're all here in Insight Timer together. We're all on a spiritual journey, wherever we are on that journey. And so often it gets romanticized. Spiritual awakening, my journey, my awakening journey, my transformation journey. But the reality of it is, it's fucking brutal. Because really, it's about shadow work. It's about what is in the unconscious. What is the shadow? What is the underneath that's driving all of this, you know, these things that I've been saying, these patterns and behaviors that cause our suffering. And we just get in this fear and suffering loop. And so it's this journey pulling away from all of that, orienting back into the present moment, into the body, learning that it's safe to be here now in the body, learning that it's safe, that whatever emotions come up, that you can hold the space for them to express. And that these samskaras, when they come up and out, to allow them to have their process so that they can be transmuted from shadow into light. The past few mornings I have cried my eyes out. This morning, yesterday morning, and I got my little bear here. This bear is 50 years old, just like me, almost. This bear has been with me since I was in the crib. And thank God that I'm at a place on my journey where, although it's very intense, I am able to be with the emotions. And I invite you, if you can relate to what I'm talking about here in any way, shape, or form, that, you know, you get a stuffed animal or get your old childhood one, whatever. It is so healing when you're emoting to have something like this, because, you know, it all comes back to childhood wounds, as we know. And even, you know, the official topic for today is also tied back to childhood wounds. When we did not get the safety, the reciprocation, or not even reciprocation, just the what's the word I'm looking for? Consistency. If we didn't get consistent, safe, loving care, then it will come out in all of these maladaptations. And it's okay. We needed them. Oh, cute. That's great, sister. In Sister Sunshine, that's a great example. And I also think there's a middle ground where it's not about keeping people at a distance, but it's also not about clinging to them. That there's a middle space. I was in a 12-step meeting yesterday about boundaries, and it reminded me of this idea of floral boundaries. Floral boundaries means, if you think about a hedge in a garden, like a labyrinth hedge or a wall hedge, and maybe it's roses, or it's, some sort of like manicured plant that looks like a wall and it's got flowers and things. Air can move through that. It's not a Great Wall of China. It's living, it's breathing, it's dynamic. There's beautiful flowers on it. So, Sista, I would invite you to maybe tune into that. Hi, Jude. You have bears. Awesome. And when we come from like one extreme, like being engulfed, maybe as children we were engulfed. We weren't allowed to have boundaries. I was just listening to John Bradshaw, and he was talking about early, childhood family dynamics and dysfunctional dynamics with parents without boundaries, emotionally immature parents who, he was saying that mom and dad need to be the most important people in their life, each other, before the children. But he says what happens in most dysfunctional families is, he says it goes cross-generational, that the parents make the children as or more important than the spouse, and then that creates all kind of dysfunction. And of course, lack of boundaries. So then it would make sense, that's where the avoidant comes in. So if we tie this back to attachment theory, the avoidant attachment style comes in when children were engulfed. So then they learn that intimacy and closeness does not equal safety. So then that's when the pushing away, and then that's when the too high walls come in. And now, if you are a type that identifies as anxiously attached, which means when somebody pulls away, you get overtaken with anxiety, then you had an insecure attachment in childhood where you felt abandonment, rejection, of course, lack of safety. And then it becomes performative. What do I have to do to keep this attachment intact? I will perform. I will push my feelings down. I will be whatever the parent or caregiver wants or needs me to be. And then that never ends. So this journey is all about healing all of that learning your sovereignty, learning that you can hold space for yourself and that you can be, you can give yourself what you're looking for in others. And it is a journey. It is a long journey for most of us, and that's okay. We're here, we're on the journey. And so even, what I was talking about in my own journey, that's what it's about, is pulling away all of these hooks, attachments. It's so trite. We hear it all the damn time in our spiritual circles. You are the one you've been waiting for, like the journey of self-discovery. Everything you need is within you. But again, it's just like the bicycle example. Sure, we can talk about that all day long, but until you actually do it and experience it, it's just theory, and it's just thoughts. And it's true. It is true. So what is resonating most with you about this? What are you taking away from this discussion so far? What questions do you have? Let's just take a few breaths here. This time after the full moon is about slowing down, allowing whatever has been shaken up for you, whatever's been illuminated. Scorpio is about the depths, about the hidden, about deep transformation, about shadow turning to light. Where was this illuminated for you this week? Jay, wonderful question. So what happens in these sorts of dynamics when they pull away and I identify as anxious, I identify as avoidant, it depends on the dynamic. In this part of my life, it's been mainly the anxious attachment. It has become a literal addiction in the body and the brain. It is called intermittent reinforcement. When the example I always give is a slot machine. How many times are you going to win the slot machine? Very few. But it is programmed to let you win enough to keep you playing. If you never won, you wouldn't play very long. But it gives you a hit. And then that one hit makes you chase it more and more. And it's variable, intermittent. It's not every third time. It might be every 10th, then the 2nd, and then the 20th. So if you think about this in terms of relationship or connection dynamics, if that is occurring, if there's breadcrumbing involved with the other person, if you're in a situationship with somebody, and they don't answer you in a certain length of time, that is going to cause a physical reaction in your body. It has nothing to do with the actual person, or that's like secondary or tertiary. The brain and body, the nervous system, the chemicals, the neural pathways get literally addicted to contact with that person, so that when it is intermittently reinforced, you have a cascade of chemicals. You know, when they answer you or when they finally see you, it's a relaxation. And then while you're waiting for them to reply, or there's the uncertainty there, you're on this pins and needles, eggshells, can't relax, sympathetic nervous system, agitation, heightened state. So your brain then connects the relief with the contact. And it's a literal addiction. Jay can relate. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. Hi, Alicia. Good morning. Barbara, intermittent reinforcement. Coraline. Oh, goodness. That sounds really difficult about your divorce. In relation to the church. I'm sorry that happened to you. And I'm so glad that you are now regaining your confidence. It sounds really challenging. And yeah, Sister Sunshine, with all sorts of, neurodivergence, any sort of mental health, other mental health issues. Yes. Hi, Lewis. Hi, Betsy. Hi, April. Crumbs keeping you hooked, Barbara. I so relate to all of this. That's why I've created, many of you have heard me talk about this, but some of you haven't because it's new, is I've created an Etsy store where I have digital downloadable products that help you heal these attachment wounds, breakups, toxic relationships, trauma bonding, narcissistic abuse recovery, codependency recovery, and all of that. So if this resonates, I have everything at a very affordable price right now in my shop on Etsy. It's called Heartbreak Recovery Co. So you can send me a message, I can share the link, or you can look it up if that resonates. Yeah, so Lewis saying, heavily stuck in what used to be good within the relationships. So this is a huge part of how this all works. In the beginning, the honeymoon phase, if you all can relate to this, I want you to think about this. Was it intense? Was it bliss? Was it love at first sight? And again, this can be in anything. It can be with a friendship. It can be with coworkers or bosses. I know when I started the last corporate job I had, when I started, they were like, the owner of the company just loved me and telling me how amazing I was. It was similar. Betsy, with your daughter. So this definitely can occur. These sorts of push and pull. And I'm going to be honest, especially and maybe in like a parent-child dynamic, there can be a lot of manipulation and control dynamics, especially if the child is the avoidant. Of course, this can all go both ways. Yeah, wonderful. I'll just type it in. So you can look that up on Etsy and send me a message if you would like more. Thank you all. This really helps me to help my shop grow. It's just in its first few months. So yeah, I mean, in a parent-child, when this attachment style stuff is happening, can be really compelling because of the nature of the relationship. Hi, Denise. I'm so glad this is helpful. You know, I had a narcissistic abusive relationship. Thank God it's been 8 years ago. But I didn't know about narcissism in the way that it's now become like popularized now. I didn't know about it. So I didn't know that's what was happening. I just felt like I was going crazy and losing my soul and I'm crying every day and I didn't know why. And once I learned somehow, thank God, about this intermittent reinforcement was a huge thing, the trauma bonding, learning about narcissistic abuse dynamics. It was such a relief to know I'm not crazy. There's a name for this. And the thing is, it's like, this is what's so addictive about abuse dynamics, and it could even be physical abuse and domestic violence situations. And if you've been in it, or if you've known anybody in it, especially if you've seen it from the outside, and how many of you have seen something and been like, why can't they just leave? Right? Well, if you've ever been in it, you know why. And even if it's not, you know, as extreme as like physical abuse, it's that makeup pattern and cycle. So even like that's the extreme side over here, you know, on the other like less dramatic side, we've all heard like, oh, makeup sex, right? Like you have the fight and then you have the makeup sex and it's so much better. So that is like a little example of what this can be in the more, you know, pathological dynamics, where you have these highs and lows, and the person that causes the pain is also the person that soothes and, quote, stops the pain. Just like a drug. It's the same damn thing as a freaking chemical drug. You first have the hit. You know, you have the drink or whatever, the substance, and you feel that, you feel that relief. That's how it is in the beginning. But the payoff, the high gets less, and then the consequences and the pain get greater, and you get more unmanageable. So if you apply this to the relationship in the beginning, especially narcissism, love bombing, who doesn't know what love bombing is? I hear you, sister. Jay's been researching this the past few months and looking for rehab. Yeah, I mean, I support people with this in my life coaching business as well. So send a message if what I'm saying resonates. And as I said before, many times I've been long-term clean and sober as well. It is crazy making, because the person that causes the pain is the one that we turn to, that also gives us the high. So in the beginning, if you're in this love bombing dynamic, they talk about the future. It's called future faking. They say all of these things. I love you, and you just met, and we're going to do this and that, and they might even talk about marriage and whatever, like just these huge, big declarations of feelings and plans that are way out of proportion for where the relationship is at, that you have just basically met and don't even know each other. So that love bombing, the honeymoon phase, where everything is amazing. So John Bradshaw, today I was listening, and he was talking about this. When you, quote, fall in love, you go back to infancy. Infancy it feels oceanic, he says. And doesn't it, when you fall in love, or you fall in lust, or you fall in attachment? You're engulfed. It's like you're in an ocean. You're gazing at each other. You're cooing to each other. He says it's like being an infant again, and it's so true. And even Cupid, is like a baby. And then he says, because he says like infancy, then being a toddler, and then I forgot the next one, but he maps like the trajectory of a relationship this way. Once the honeymoon's over, then you fight and then you say no to everything, and that's like toddler phase, which this can happen in, quote, normal relationships too, or not. Like, it's not just abusive, like that's going to be much more intense. But what happens in these trauma bonding, intermittent reinforcement, addictive relationship dynamics is that we cling to the version of that person where they were in the beginning, in that fantasy, and then it doesn't matter what happens after. Our mind is stuck on that version of them, and it's very painful. So this is also called love addiction, and there's also a 12-step program for that. We get addicted to people. And again, the very person that at first gave us the pleasure and gave us the hit and gave us the chemical cascade then becomes the source of the pain, just like a substance if you're addicted, as I said earlier. You get that first high off of the first hit, the first few drinks. In AA we say, like, the man takes the drink and then the drink takes the man. So this is for people too. And what's so, I don't know, painful about this or something, is if we think about love and romance in the history of humanity, how much suffering, how much death, how much murder, how much abuse, how much suffering has been created in the name of, quote, love. The jealousy. I mean, we hear it. It's, all of the horrible things that have happened. I don't even want to say it. We all can think of them. So it's like we humans, we idealize love. Of course we do. But if you really look at, Romeo and Juliet, right? All of these things in the name of love. And it's like, bless our hearts, bless our little hearts. And I just want to bring home the brevity of it. This is not without consequence. people die and get killed and have horrible consequences in the name of, quote, love. It can be an addiction with real consequences. So if you can relate to any of this, reach out, get some support with me. There's many resources, many ways to do that. And I can offer my gifted visioning process where we would dive into these dynamics. My process works with whatever anybody's coming up against. So we'll look at your specific situation. And it can feel like, if you're starting to wake up from this, it can feel very overwhelming. But there is a way out. And there's no shortcuts. There is no shortcuts. And you're not alone. But first is to understand, like, if this is new for you, just having the awareness and understanding of what's happening can be huge to awaken to. And after awareness, there then needs to be, there's 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, action. After the awareness, then needs to come the acceptance. Oh my God, this is what's happening. Then the action. Now what am I going to do about it? You can continue in the pattern, but it's going to be full of pain because now you're going to be aware of it. Just like in AA, we say, you know, if you relapse in drinking, you have a head full of AA and a belly full of booze, and your drinking is ruined. And it's true. Which, it's a good thing, but it's very painful if you are in that. But it's like, have you had enough with whatever your situation is? Have you had enough? Addiction to people is more dangerous than drugs. As I said, we can look around the world in history. The things people do in the name of love, jealousy. And, you know, for me, my beliefs are God, source, universe, higher power is the energy of love, which love is, everything's a vibration. So there's a vibration that we call love, and it feels like the best thing we've ever felt in the world. And that's why we're obsessed. Humans are obsessed with love because it's God. Because we're wanting to go home and we're wanting to go back to that. And that ties back to what I was saying about the God-shaped hole. We try to fill it with people. That's very dangerous, as we're seeing. Or substances or other addictions or distractions. But we're obsessed with it because it is God, it is source, it is what is in here, underneath all the samskaras, underneath the ego, underneath the pain body. Think about a newborn baby that's born. It is just pure love, highest vibration, because it came straight from source and it's unadulterated. And that's what we go back to. And just in the course of living in this existence, we form an ego because we have to survive in this planet in this 3 dimensions. And we have all of these adaptations. And most of us did not get, you know, the unconditionally loving environment. So we get to unravel and unlearn and unbecome and remember and become. And then we go back to source, and that essence of our soul, which is infinite, that is love, and that energy, we merge back again, and then we come back around for more. So that's the journey, is the remembering that we have it within us, and we've perverted it by going outside, and it all makes sense given everything. So we don't want to gaslight ourselves. It's a journey of homecoming, coming home to yourself. It's the richest journey you'll ever go on. So, please follow me here if you haven't already. This is live streamed on my YouTube as well. Follow me there for all my replays are there too. Facebook, Instagram, my Etsy store, Heartbreak Recovery Co. Please check those resources and buy them. I've worked very hard and they're very valuable to help you break these patterns. And if you want, one-on-one support with that, as I said, reach out. You are not alone here. I can walk with you. I have done this. I am doing this. I am not one of these teachers that's going to pretend I'm speaking to you from some spiritual hilltop. And I have done the work, and there's always more work to do. So Betsy, if you can, you can share it here, but maybe I would like to hear a bit more, and if you want to send me a private message so I can get a sense more about the dynamics you're speaking about with your daughter, if you feel comfortable. Because I can sense there's a lot to unpack with that. But yeah, or you can just share briefly now in a comment and I'll see if I can guide you a little more, because I'm not sure exactly what you mean, recovery in what sense. So thank you for asking. Yeah, so my next live stream before we go is in a few days, in 3 days. What if it's not too late to create the life you really want? It will be May 6th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. So join for that. And if these sorts of dynamics are weighing you down, definitely join, because this can influence our life. I'm sorry to hear that, Betsy. Yeah, so my Etsy shop name, I do have some resources for narcissistic abuse and those sorts of dynamics. I'll type the shop name again. I would recommend you reach out to me or have her do that, and since you've experienced me, it's probably better to start with you first. It sounds like you also have some healing to do if you were adopted and it's complicated. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. Wonderful. So, there is hope here. There is hope. There are names for what you're experiencing, which again can bring awareness, and there needs to be then acceptance and then action. Sure, Jay. Here's my follow card. I appreciate your follow. And if anybody cares to donate, if this was helpful, you can do so here in other ways as well. Thank you so much, Betsy. And yeah, we are in a damn intense time. We have been, if you've chosen, and I believe we choose, if you've chosen to incarnate in the 20th or 21st century, you signed up to have an intense experience, especially if you are choosing to be awake in it, which if you are in this app, you are choosing to be awake to some degree. So kudos to you. This is not easy. Hi, Terry. Oh. I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm glad that it's resonating. I am speaking more and more on this because of my own personal journey and the need we have to bring the light to all of this, because it hits us so deep. It hits us at the depth of our being. It comes from childhood. You don't need to remember, Terry. You don't need to remember. Michael Singer talks about that. He says you don't need to go looking for your trauma. You don't need to go excavating. He says that when you're ready, that it will come up. And you, like for me, like I don't know when you joined, but I mentioned that I've been crying. Like I woke up crying, but shortly after I woke up, I was in meltdown tears. And, I know what it's about, but also, like, we don't need to know. We just need to be with our experience. And for you, Terry, if there's been a history of abuse, for you, I would say the most important thing is you get to learn to feel safe in your body. And that means feel safe when the emotions come up. And that's something I also help my clients with. So I don't believe we've ever connected before. If you feel called to reach out, I can gift you my visioning process since you're a part of the community, and that's open to everyone here. And we will meet one-on-one and dive into where you're stuck, the dynamics around that, and then where to go from here. And yeah, Jay, I mean, as I said, we chose to incarnate in a very intense time, and we're not alone. So we just get to be present in the moment. Our minds were not meant to handle all of the information that's coming at us. So I would really invite you to be very mindful about your consumption of news and events, and your consumption especially of short form, what do they call it? Not social media, but anyway, TikTok, Reels, and Shorts. Those will kill your brain. So, just a side note. Great, Terry. Just send me a private message. Anybody can do that through here or anywhere that I am. If you go to my teacher profile, there's an about section, and then there's a link to my link tree, and then that's all my info, and you can contact me. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Thank you, Alicia, for sharing, for being a light. Yeah, I live on the biggest lake in Mexico near Guadalajara, Lake Chapala. So, yep. So I will see you all for my next live stream. As I said, again, is What If It's Not Too Late to Create the Life You Really Want on May 6th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all for being here with me today. Oh, I lived in San Miguel for a bit. Thank you, Betsy, Sister Sunshine. Good to see you as well. Yeah, really grateful for all of you, for Insight Timer, for the space, for my journey, for all of our journeys. Thank you for sharing, Coraline, and for your presence, and everyone's here. Even if you didn't say a word, you are here, you are loved, you are seen, you are witnessed. Thank you. You're so welcome. See you all. Thank you, Alyssa. Wonderful. J.E. And yes. I'm like serious about this. Thanks, Alicia. And Terry and Betsy, many of you, Jay, Corlin, those of you who shared, if you don't have a stuffed animal, if you don't take anything from this, get one. You're welcome, Jude. It helps so much. Allow yourself to be surprised. We need to reparent that part that's wounded, that's stuck in the past, because those emotions are still sitting in our bodies unhealed. Ooh, that's great, Pink Panther. Yeah, okay. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much. I will see you all soon. Namaste.